Hello and welcome to the first webinar in the training series for the Equals Math Curriculum, Overview and Organization. In this webinar, you will be provided with information regarding the content of the Equals Math Content Kit, Manipulative Kit materials, and resources for organizing your materials. Remember that implementing the Equals Math curriculum takes time, and one of the most important steps to being successful is to know the materials that you have, how to organize them, and how to find them when you need them during a lesson and the assessment. Let's get started. Equals Math Curriculum is a multi-sensory math program aligned to standards. It is based on the foundation of essential math skills, which students build upon to develop useful and functional math knowledge and understanding. Now, a foundation of essential skills in general education terms means pre-readiness through about the end of fourth grade. All learning connects new information to what is known, which means prerequisite skills are necessary for learning. For this reason, the lessons in Equals have been carefully placed and ordered. In our view, the most useful and functional math knowledge is using learned math concepts to solve problems. As you begin the organizational process, it is important to know that Equals Math is made of 4 components: the content kit, the manipulative kit, the members-only content, and the Equals Technology Lesson Center. If you have not already done so, use this link to download the updated version of members-only digital content, as well as the new additional members-only content. This download contains 2 folders. The first folder, members-only digital content, can be stored on your USB drive if you have one. Copy over what is already on your orange USB drive, as you will be downloading the most up-to-date materials. If you do not have a USB drive, save the folder on your desktop or an external hard drive, or even on your district server if you have access. The second folder is the additional members-only materials, which contains new addition to Equals and the Equals linked JPEG images for use in students' communication systems. The large Equals Content Kit box holds 5 teacher's guides with 2 chapters in each book, and the materials you see here: work mats, student tools, and posters. In addition, there are 2 separate boxes, one housing the Equals assessment and related materials, and another housing the card set. The 5 teacher's guides contain 2 chapters per guide. The chapters are tabbed, so they are easily identified. You will find the contents pages listing the chapter-specific lesson objectives at the beginning of each chapter. Unfold each tab so you can use the tabs. The cover of each teacher's guide indicates the 2 chapters within that book. In this example, the numerals 1 and 2 are present, so this book contains the lessons for chapters 1 and 2. The first cover page of each chapter has the corresponding chapter number and pictures relating to the main theme of the chapter. In this example, Chapter 1 lessons and math connections will center around a school or a classroom environment, and Chapter 2, a rainforest. The theme of the chapter indicates a common theme present for most, but not necessarily all of the lessons in the chapter. The themes are used as a context for problem solving and a connection to math in their world. All of the student tools and work mats and some posters were designed to be interactive to help students organize manipulatives and support thinking as they complete lesson activities. During your instruction, they are also used by you to model a math concept, strategy, or problem-solving steps. We're going to take a look at some of examples right now. So there are a variety of printed work mats, posters, and student tools that are found in the content kit box. The 3 sets of student tools in the lower right-hand corner will be removed and bagged to be stored with the rest of the manipulatives. All work mats are referenced in the materials list by the number that's located on the lower left-hand corner, while the posters and student tools are identified by the listed name. These materials have been printed on a dry erase paper. If you wish to print copies of these for students to practice individually or in a center, you can find a PDF version within the members only content in the lesson prep folder. Within lesson prep, look for the all replacement materials folder. There you will find work mats, posters, and student tools that were designed for use with specific manipulatives, so specs are included for the printed materials, all within that same folder. Some student tools that are listed in the lessons are not printed. These are found in the lesson prep folder in the members only content. Any work mat or student tool that requires printing or additional copies will be indicated in the materials list with the letters MO in parentheses behind the name. Here's an example of an interactive work mat. This work mat serves as a template for students to use when creating designs with two-dimensional shapes. This is a support for students who may not know how to create a design or what a design might look like. Use of the shapes in creating designs helps students understand that a shape remains the same regardless of how it is placed in space. The wonderful thing about this work mat is that these work mats can be used with the attribute blocks that are included in your manipulative kit set. This is a part whole work mat used for composing and decomposing amounts. This work mat supports students' understanding as they approach addition and subtraction in lessons. So for example, a whole 4 here can be shown as 2 parts, 1 and 3. Each theme poster has a set of 6 poster cards. To support accessibility for students with low vision or who are unable to get close to the poster, the images on the cards match 6 of the images on the poster. Students can also use the cards to label what they see on the poster. There are 9 content posters, which are called out during lessons by the title found at the bottom of each poster. Content posters are visual aids to support math concepts and a visual reference as students generalize and practice skills. Some content posters also offer an interactive component. Orange and purple ang legs included in the manipulative kit can be connected into shapes and then placed on the shape poster, which is found on the left side of our slide. The number notes poster pictured on the left is a math journaling tool to record a teacher model and a group conversation about the lesson concept in a KWL format. The solve poster on the right is used for organizing each step of the problem-solving process with space written for comments, visual, and concrete representations. There is 1 number notes poster and 2 copies of the solve poster in each kit. However, you may want to copy more if you have multiple groups and laminate them to extend their wear. Wait on copying and laminating for now until you know how many groups you will have. An option as well is to use a whiteboard that you might have in your classroom in place of the number notes poster and even possibly the solve poster. This is a student tool example using Unifix or connecting cubes as they are identified in the lessons. Note that the connecting cubes fit nicely into each square of the student tool hundreds chart. When connected, these Unifix cubes will fit exactly over that same amount to show the relationship between 10 single ones and a group of 10. This can be duplicated on this hundreds chart to 120. Later, they will use these amounts when learning of place value. The clock circle student tool shows equal parts of a whole circle using our everyday time-telling language that connects to those parts, quarter and half, as in quarter to, half past, half hour, and quarter after. The clock circle has applications to time, of course. The connecting cubes are a great concrete representation of minutes and relating those amounts to a quarter of an hour, a half hour, and even a whole hour. All of the equal cards are pre-cut and are organized in the provided box with pre-printed tabs. Starting on the left, content cards are used for games, representations, and lesson activities. Vocabulary cards provide a visual representation of the vocabulary word meaning. Action cards show an arrow in the center of the back of each card and are labeled action card on the front. Action cards support student actions while problem solving within the lesson. The fourth and final card are the poster cards, and those are connected to the themes. In the overview manual, there is an organizational guide that shows how to organize these cards. This takes a bit of time, but ensuring that these cards are organized will support your lesson instruction. The second white box in the content kit is the assessment box. This is meant for storing the assessment books, work mats, student tools, and pick symbols. It is recommended to keep these materials in this box so that the assessment books and printed materials are in one place for ease of administering the assessment. There are 2 spiral-bound assessment books. These books are tabbed for each subtest. Be sure to unfold each tab before you administer the assessment. You will also find 2 pick symbol pages and assessment-specific work mats, as well as assessment-specific student tools. These are labeled with the word assessment. Assessment training and administering the assessment is your next training step after you have organized your kit. This should be completed prior to the lesson component and lesson prep training. The manipulatives are meant to be used by students during lessons to communicate and demonstrate their understanding. These manipulatives were a part of a thoughtful discussion with student accessibility in mind. Let's take a look at some of the manipulatives now. While this chart is typically used for place value, it has been added to equals to display choices for decisions or as an engagement of students' communication device when there aren't enough locations to support a student's math language. The pockets are deep enough to hold most manipulatives. Cards and pick symbols can be placed above the pockets. Lesson materials can be used as a choice to make a comment or answer a question. This level of support can lead to opportunities for students to make thoughtful choices, explore and place manipulatives in a designated space, and support students who need a connection to the materials they are using to communicate successfully and effectively. The pocket chart is accessible for students to communicate through touch, point, eye gaze, and verbal communication. If a student needs more support, record "That's the one I want," or a similar saying on the step-by-step while you point to each choice. Here we have the number and symbol rubber stamp set and the foam magnetic numeral signs and symbols. Both assist students who need adaptations for writing numerals, math symbols, and equations. Ang legs on the left and wiki sticks pictured on the right are labeled within the lessons as wax-coated yarn sticks. These are useful math tools as well as a physical support for students with motor challenges. Wax-coated yarn sticks can be secured on work mats showing shapes or designs to provide a tactile border or a barrier when sliding or matching shapes in different orientations. Ang legs can be used to create sorting boundaries for students who have greater success when sliding objects rather than picking them up and moving them. This adaptation is used for students with low vision to feel the raised amount on each card. Notice that our wiki stick here, or our wax-coated yarn stick, is cut into 3 parts to be placed on our subitizing card, showing the amount of 3. The student can now use the tactile amounts to feel the amount of 3 shown on the subitizing card. There are 2 sets of 2-dimensional shapes, attribute blocks and pattern blocks. Attribute Blocks pictured on the left are circles, squares, hexagons, triangles, and rectangles. They are provided in 3 colors and 2 sizes, big and little. Attribute blocks support lessons that include shapes, color, and size names, as well as comparisons. The pattern blocks mimic a typical pattern block set: rhombus, trapezoid, hexagon, and triangle. The colors of the pattern blocks are yellow, red, blue, and green. The exciting thing about these sets is that the shapes within each set were created so that the smaller shapes can fit on the larger shapes to demonstrate similar attributes, as well as examples of partitioning and equal shares. The building block set on the right are used as 3-dimensional models. They can also be used for color and sorting activities, as well as identifying geometric shapes and identifying faces and vertices. These too can be used to create new shapes. For example, if you stack 2 cubes, you can create a rectangular prism. Now, there is a set of 20 cubes within the building block set, which should be removed and stored separately, as they are used in many other lessons, including counting and with the 4 operations. The wooden blocks can also be used as an adaptation for students who need support when using paper pick symbols. Cookie shapes are a fun manipulative that provide an opportunity to discuss environmental shapes, as well as using them for counters when solving problems. There are 48 cookies, 6 of each shape in both sets. Cookie shapes are useful when sorting and matching shapes, as well as when first learning to graph and making growing patterns. The cookies fit nicely on the work mats when making an object bar graph, as shown on the slide. Unifix cubes, which are referenced as connecting cubes within lessons, and the unifix stairs, which are referenced as the stacked number line, are included in the kit. There are 200 connecting cubes included in this set, 20 of each color. The connecting cubes are a wonderful resource for completing strategies that relate to counting, sorting, making sets, as well as understanding place value. Students who benefit from a tactile or a concrete connection to the amounts they are working with can place these cubes on their fingertips to gain a deeper connection with the counted amount. The stacked number line on the right is a tool that brings meaning to the number line. Students are able to use the visual representations of each numeral and connect it with an amount. This tool uses the connecting cubes to show concretely that each numeral on the number line is 1 more cube than the place to the left. Using this concrete tool allows students to develop meaning of the number line as a tool representing growing amounts, and it works well for comparing amounts 1 to 10. Also included in the manipulative kit are 12 10-frame boxes. The boxes show 10 with 2 rows of 5 divided into spaces. Connecting cubes can be placed within the spaces to show the representations of 1 through 10 in relationship to that 10. The lid can be closed as a way to show a filled box of 10 to be skip counted or identified easily. This is especially useful for students who benefit from that tactile boundary the spaces provide when creating a set of 10. It is particularly useful for students who are blind and require a link from counting their fingers to counting connecting cubes off their fingertips and placing them in that 10-frame box. 12 boxes were included to provide a concrete example of 12 groups of 10 within a contained workspace and to support that understanding of place value from 1 to 120. The foam tiles are another great counter for sorting, matching, counting, area, and when completing problems within the 4 operations. There are 200 foam tiles in your complete set. You will find yellow, red, blue, and green foam tiles. The tiles should be stored in the container they were shipped in, and the corresponding label can be placed on the lid. The dividers in the picture here are not necessary. The foam tiles fit between the numerals on the number line work mat, as well as fit within the squares that are found within the 5, 10, and 20 frames. The circle counters found on the right are two-sided circles. One side is red and the other is yellow. This tool can be used by students to count, show sets of amounts, compare, and identify the difference between amounts. The circle counters also fit on the square and circle versions of the 5, 10, and 20 frame work mats. Here's an example of using circle counters and angle legs to create a line graph when a student needs an adaptation to using a pencil to plot coordinates and to create a graph. The theme counters are concrete representations relating to the themes found in the curriculum. As students move further into the curriculum, generic representations are used more frequently, such as foam tiles, cubes, connecting cubes, and circle counters. Note the mini frisbees are called flying discs in the lessons, and the hacky sack baseballs are referred to as baseballs. As you look at the manipulatives, think about the demonstration tools that students can also use outside of math class. Use the clock to support classroom schedules or transitions. The demonstration thermometer can be used to discuss the weather and how the students should dress or how the weather feels. The smaller thermometers can be used to make estimations about temperatures or compare hot and cold items. There are many opportunities for students to explore resources and materials outside of the context of the lesson. This helps students become familiar with these materials so that when they see them during a lesson, they can talk about what they are or how they have been used in the past. The balance scale on the right is used when comparing amounts and establishing the idea of more, less, and equal. Be aware that the wooden cubes are not identical weight, as they are made from different kinds of wood and do have different densities. Lessons indicate the specific materials to use to show the math concepts being taught. The dial scale on the left is included to show a more accurate view of weight and mass. The dial scale shows weight in both pounds and ounces, as well as grams and kilograms. To support students' conceptual understanding of what the lines on the dial scale represent, there are two dial scale models within the student tools found in the content kit, one for standard US weights and one for metric weights. There are 10 rulers in your kit. Notice the lines and numbers are clearly marked with inches and centimeters, both right side up for that direct comparison. The ruler is printed on heavy coated paper for durability, and students can use this to compare a conventional ruler that's typically found at a school or a home. 5 protractors and a circle protractor have been included as students work with angles and their measurements. On the protractor, there is an arm to assist with accurate measurements. An angle leg can also be fastened to the protractor to assist with accessibility. Take a look at the Action Dictionary for more details. The circle protractor is used for providing a visual representation of angle measurements in relationship to a 360-degree circle. Fraction stacks allow students to see and compare relationships between fractions. Each post represents the same whole, so comparisons and relationships are easily understood. It is a great tool for students to explore fractions. Sorting and placing fractions lays the framework for what is to come in later chapters. There are 2 pieces of assistive technology in the kit. The first is the alternate spinner, and it's pictured on the left. The alternate spinner is an accessible spinner, and it is activated by pressing the large button on the front of the spinner or by using a switch plugged into the side. As you can see, the overlay is an alternative for rolling dice, but when you flip the inner and outer overlay templates over, it does reveal a blank side where teachers can attach cards or pick symbols with sticky tack for additional support. The alternate spinner does require batteries. The step-by-step pictured on the right is a communication device that contains 2 minutes worth of a recording space that teachers can use to record a single message or even sequential messages. There is enough space to record the number list 1 to 100 in a single messages for counting. Students activate the message by pushing the button, and after the first recording plays, the next message is activated by pushing the button again until it cycles through all of the recorded messages. This is a very useful tool for rote counting, skip counting, having a conversation, or when completing activities with multiple step directions. There are 2 math lines, one large math line to 31 and a smaller math line to 10. The MathLine is a math tool that supports counting, skip counting, adding, subtracting, and multiplying and dividing. The MathLine provides an adaptation for students who benefit from moving concrete objects to create a set or solve a problem, but require motor support to do so. When you begin organizing your counters, consider placing small pieces of soft Velcro on the small manipulatives and the hard side on the MathLine tabs. Here's an example of using fastened manipulatives to the top of the MathLine tabs to add the amounts 3 and 2. Students who need the support can rely on the counter staying put so that they can see the results of their counting accurately. Here's another example of counting with our tray. Notice that we have a container anchored to the side of our counting tray. In this example, the student would sweep the manipulative and count as you, the teacher, places another manipulative on the tray. The student can also sweep the items while you count aloud, with the student stopping after the amount has been counted. Additionally, the student can sweep, then activate the step-by-step after each sweep to count. As we move out of the manipulative kit now, it is important to spend some time after this training becoming familiar with the manipulatives. Keep in mind the manipulatives were selected to support student engagement and accessibility. As you begin to organize these materials, keep your students in mind and consider how these tools may be used from that multi-purpose lens to support your students during lessons. Let's take a closer look at some of the digital resources that are made available to you within the members-only content. We will begin with the Overview Manual found within the Equals Resources folder. The Overview Manual is a natural starting point when beginning to implement the Equals Math curriculum. There are several resources within it supporting you as a first-time Equals user. We will also locate the Action Dictionary, then jump to the assessment folder to look for the most important tools when giving the assessment. As a reminder, use the link on the slide to request the most up-to-date members-only content so that it can be emailed to you. In the members-only digital content, we'll begin with the Equals Resource folder. So once you open up your members-only digital content, you'll notice a variety of folders. Head to Equals Resources. After opening the Equals Resources folder, locate the Overview Manual folder, which is usually near the center of the folder content. The Overview Manual includes a variety of implementation resources to support initial implementation. The organizational guide is found on pages 5 through 10. As you begin organizing the curriculum, be sure to open this guide within the Overview Manual. The first page of the organizational document covers how to organize your manipulatives. The second page shows where to place the work mats and posters within your content kit box. The third page focuses on organizing the card set. At the bottom, you are directed to prep folders for lessons. Let's take a quick look at the Getting Started section and content pages in the Overview Manual. The Overview Manual includes several resources to support teachers while implementing the Equals Math curriculum. You may be curious about Equals lessons and wish to get a feel for how you'll be using them. Remember, after the assessment training and administration of the assessment, the lesson component training comes next. In the meantime, you can certainly look through the lesson diagram pages, which are pictured here on the right, to get an idea of how the lessons are structured and taught, keeping in mind that there is absolutely more information to come and absolutely some answers to some of your questions that you might have. Additionally, you'll also find a checklist of the equals implementation steps within the overview manual. This checklist you can use right away to ensure that you are completing each step of that implementation journey. We also have a pacing guide, which I want to quickly clarify lesson pacing, as this oftentimes comes up as a question during initial training. When you begin to view the lessons, it is important to keep in mind the pace of a lesson. A lesson can take anywhere from 1 to 2 weeks to teach. As you begin to prep for your lessons, keep that pace in mind, that a section of lessons that has 11 lessons could take about 22 weeks to teach. The lesson objectives are listed in the order in which they are presented in the curriculum from Chapter 1 through Chapter 10. The objectives are organized by chapter, section, and lessons. The contents pages in the overview manual can assist teachers with placing students at the appropriate starting point, identifying skills that students are expected to know depending on their assessment placement, as well as providing a clear understanding of which math skills will be introduced in subsequent lessons. When gathering materials while prepping for lessons by section, this structure also shows you how many lessons are in each section. Prepping lessons by section is a part of the lesson component and lesson prep training, but also can be viewed alone as a lesson prep training exclusively. Let's go back to the equals resources folder and now locate the action dictionary. So as I open up my equals members only content, I'll head to equals resources and open up the action dictionary folder. The action dictionary is a resource that provides differentiation for students during the lessons by providing suggested adaptations for actions that students are asked to perform. Actions include add, choose, compare, find, join, say. The action dictionary individualizes differentiation as students are supported based on their needs in performing the actions to be an active math learner during lessons. The action dictionary is organized alphabetically and is made up of action words that are found in purple print within the equals math lessons. The words are also cross-referenced with alternative action words, so students are introduced to consistent differentiation while learning. As you begin teaching equals math lessons, it's recommended that you observe how students are participating, specifically when it comes to those purple words. Let the action dictionary be a springboard of ideas for you to how to support your students' specific needs. This is an important resource to remember, as we want all students to be accessing the lessons and materials in a thoughtful way. Assessment training is to be completed after you have organized your kit. I do want to take some time to point out a few documents that are highlighted during training that you may find useful. To locate the assessment materials, you'll head into your members only content and open up the equals assessment folder. Within the assessment folder, there are a variety of materials you can use to support you when administering the assessment. They are the assessment material list, a printable version of the assessment pick symbols, attending and exploring screening tool, electronic scoring for classrooms, and the student response booklet. During the assessment training, you will learn more about these resources that are included in this folder and how they will be used. Moving on to the organization now. Organization is the important first step you will want to make sure you have completed before moving forward with any other training. It is recommended to set aside some time to focus on organization. We typically recommend setting aside about 2 hours to complete organization. The organizational guide found in your overview manual shows each step of the process. It may be helpful to print these pages and use as a checklist. The manipulatives are meant to be used by students during lessons. It is recommended to identify a space in your classroom that you can not only organize your materials in, but also teach from. Let's take a look at the organizational process now. If at all possible, organize the manipulatives with your paraprofessionals so everyone can become familiar with these materials together. Your manipulative kit should have come with a page of labels for the manipulatives. If you cannot locate these labels, know that there is a copy for you to print within the Equals Resources folder of the members only content. Your organizational materials include plastic zipper bags. If these are not included, you will need to grab some sandwich-sized bags and gallon-sized bags. You'll also have a white card box with pre-printed dividers and cards inside, and then a page of pre-printed labels for the zipper bags and manipulatives. Prior to organizing your curricular and manipulative kit materials, you may want to take some time to read through the entirety of the organizational document. This will just give you a general idea of how you will be organizing your materials. The first step is to locate the pizza fractions, which are 6 pages, the shape puzzles, which are 14 pages, and the money cards, which are 16 pages, from the pack of student tools found within your content kit box. These tools are printed on perforated paper so they can be easily punched out and bagged. Place those pieces aside to be organized. You'll then want to locate the labels if applicable. If you do not have the labels, make sure that you print them from your members only content found within the resources folder. Locate the small and large plastic zipper bags in the manipulative kit if present, and the following manipulatives from the shipped box. You'll want the butterflies, the insect and other bugs, ocean animals, protractors, and $1 money cards. So once you have located these items that need to be bagged and labeled, you can begin sorting and labeling these items. Know that the $1 money cards, these are a part of the student tool money set that is found within your content kit box. These do need to be cut out and placed in a small bag. The straws, these will be shipped with the place value pocket chart. Remove the set of straws from the pocket chart package and place the 200 straws in their own small bag. As you place each item in a bag, be sure to place the matching label on that bag. Next, place the following items into the large plastic zipper bags. The remaining set of money content cards, be sure to cut out the bills and place them in the large bag. Once completed, you can then take the bagged $1 money cards that are in the small sandwich size bag and place them within the large money card bag. So now that your money card set is together, but your $1 cards are easily located. The pizza fractions, this is again one of the student tools that needs to be punched out as well. Take your time in punching out this set. The shape puzzles, which is another student tool, is also going to need to be punched out. The Unifix cubes or connecting cubes, these are shipped as Unifix cubes, but are referenced within the curriculum as connecting cubes. And then there are 20 cubes, which will be separated from your larger set of wood blocks. You do have to open the entire set of building blocks, sort through that building block set, and locate the 20 cubes. Place those 20 cubes in a large bag and the remaining set of blocks back in the shipped box for storage. Leave the following items in their shipped bags and label with the remaining pre-printed labels. So flying discs, turtle counters, baseballs, circle counters, attribute blocks, and pattern blocks. Complete your equals material organization by organizing the 4 types of cards within the shipped box. So there are 4 types of cards included in your content kit: content, vocabulary, action, and poster. Each card is labeled with the card type on the front and back. The image on the back is an indicator and a quick organizational solution to use during lessons. Cards are organized using the box in which they arrived. This box did include the pre-printed tabs to support organization. Within each section, cards are sorted by alphabetical letter, theme, or content. The cards should be organized within the box by type in the following order: content, vocabulary, action, and poster. All of the cards are pre-cut and will be organized in the provided box with the pre-printed tabs. Content cards show a picture representing the category on the back, and the category is printed on the front of the card. The content cards support problem solving, gameplay, and provide a semi-concrete representation of math concepts. Vocabulary cards have a purple and orange back and are labeled vocabulary card on the front. Vocabulary cards are used to introduce students to new math vocabulary that support the lesson objective. Action cards show an arrow in the center of the back of each card and are labeled action card on the front. Action cards support student actions while problem solving within the lesson. Each action is supported with examples of accessibility found within the action dictionary. There are 2 of each action card. The theme poster cards show a picture depicting the theme on the back, and the front of the card lists the corresponding theme. Begin organizing your cards by organizing your content cards by category. As a reminder, content cards will have a category picture on the back of the card and the name of the category on the front. Place the content card tab on the left side of the box and alphabetize the content card tabs with the labeled categories behind the content card tab. Sort the content cards behind the content corresponding tabs. The organized content cards will fill the entire left side of the box, including a portion of the right side of the box. When organizing the categories alphabetically, the subitizing, symbol, and temperature content cards will be on the right side of the box. Next, you'll want to organize your vocabulary cards. So you'll place the vocabulary tab behind the last content card category, which is temperature, on the right side of the box. You'll place the numbers vocabulary tab and then place your single letter tabs in ABC order to organize your vocabulary cards. So the vocabulary cards have a purple and orange back and have vocabulary card listed on the front. Alphabetize and place each vocabulary card behind the corresponding lettered tab in the box. The vocabulary words that start with a number are all considered number vocabulary and should be placed behind the numbers vocabulary tab. Vocabulary cards are organized alphabetically by single letter. Action cards have an arrow on the back of the card and the label action card on the front. Place the action card tab and the tabs with the grouped letters behind the organized set of vocabulary cards within your card box. Now, sort the action cards alphabetically behind the corresponding tabs using the first letter of each action word. As you are organizing, know there are 2 action words for every action. Poster cards are organized by theme. Poster cards will have an image of the theme on the back of the card and the theme labeled on the front of the card. Place the poster card tab and the tabs with the labeled themes such as school, home, backyard behind the organized set of action cards in the box. The poster cards will each be placed behind the corresponding tabs according to the labeled theme on the card front. Know that there are 6 poster cards for each theme. The completed set of cards should be organized and remain in the box in which it was shipped. When prepping for instruction, plan to pull the vocabulary and action cards ahead of time. The poster and content cards can be easily identified using the labeled tabs during instruction. Place the organized box of cards in the designated math instructional area within your classroom. The last step of organization is one that will be helpful for managing printed lesson materials. This will be discussed further during the lesson prep training. For now, gather and label 20 file folders. Divide the 20 file folders into 2 sets of 10. Label both sets of file folders with the headings seen here, or use the list from the organizational guide within the overview manual. The file folders are labeled as follows: skill worksheets, problem-solving worksheets, vocabulary cards, lesson pick symbols, student tools, number notes, game boards, teacher prep materials, I learned work mats, and optional work mats. Once organization is complete, your math area may look something like this. The manipulatives are organized on the shelves. The content kit houses the posters and work mats. The white box organizes the cards by category, and the equals assessment is organized in its labeled box. Having your materials stored in the place where you teach allows you to gather only the materials you'll need for the lesson or section of lessons you plan on teaching. There's more information on this in the lesson prep and lesson component training. As you begin to use the curriculum materials from the content kit box, know that all the content kit materials can be printed from the members only content. These materials are found within the replacements folder in the members only content. The only exception to this are the teacher's guides, so those are not available within members only. If you would like to see equals in action, go to this link that you see on the screen. Click on playlists, then locate classroom videos and click on the view full playlist and choose a video. This is especially helpful when just beginning to implement lessons. You can also use the search feature to search for specific lessons that you may be working on that have videos showing strategies within the lessons. The final part of the curriculum is the Equals Technology Lesson Center. This can be found using the link on the slide. You can bookmark this resource so you can open it easily and quickly. There are a variety of ways that this technology tool can be incorporated into the lessons to support teachers during instruction. Teachers can choose to use this tool to locate print materials in a specific lesson that are organized by lesson pages, or even just to find materials by type within organized folders. All work mats and posters are included, as well as a large supply of images. Please refer to the Equals Training webinar, Equals Technology Lesson Center, to see how this tool can be used during implementation of the curriculum. For the purposes of the overview webinar, it is important to know that the Equals Technology Lesson Center is located at the link shown above. After our training today, be sure to get access to the members-only content. Use the link on the slide to request members-only content be emailed to you. Then focus on organization. Use the organizational guide within the overview manual to get your curriculum materials organized into a math area within your classroom. Organization is an important first step. Know it is worth your time. Once these steps are complete, you can then continue forward with training. The next training to view is the assessment and placement webinar. As you move forward with organization, or if you have any questions, you can always reach out to the customer service team at AbleNet via customerservice@ablenetinc.com or by using one of the phone numbers listed. Thank you for joining us today. I'm excited for you to get started with the Equals Math curriculum.